Conflict in the Middle East has led to tensions here on home soil, including a sharp rise in anti-Semitic and Islamophobic incidents.
Well, the Metropolitan Police is investigating a video showing pro-Palestinian protesters calling for an uprising against Israel. Britain's chief rabbi said the words used are hateful extremism as it shows support for terror group Hamas's attack on the 7th of October. In another video, missing posters for more than 240 hostages taken by Hamas have been vandalised with swastikas. Well, joining us now in the studio is Simon Johnson, former chief executive of the Jewish Leadership Council. Simon, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Images like that we've seen over the weekend, obviously the march is one thing. There will be peaceful people on that march. However, there are certain individuals who have spoilt the message somewhat. How does it make you feel? What are the fears within your community about a rise in anti-Semitic incidents?
Good morning. There is a level of increasing fear within our community, and that's because our community has seen a 500% increase in anti-Jewish, anti-Semitic incidents. And they do see images of the things that you've just talked about. They see people on these marches calling for the destruction of the State of Israel, for jihad against Jews, for celebrating and glorifying the Hamas murderous massacres. And I'm afraid that that has led to increasing fear amongst a community which is already deeply traumatized by the murder of 1,400 innocent Israelis by Hamas on October the 7th.
I can't imagine. I have a lot of Jewish friends. I have a lot of Jewish colleagues here at TalkTV as well. I cannot imagine when I look at the scenes at Liverpool Street Station the other day, some of the protests, all manner of issues, whether it's outside a McDonald's, whether it's people trying to sell poppies, or whether it's some of those blatant, horrific racist banners that seem to get a free pass, people walking around with, calling essentially for literally calling for the destruction of Israel, calling for the destruction of Jewish people. From the river to the sea, we've seen it. Loud hailers on tube trains, goodness me, all over the place. I cannot imagine what it would feel like to be Jewish right now, walking through your own city, your own place, not just in London, but predominantly big protests in London. That must be overwhelmingly a terrifying feeling for Jewish people.
Exactly as you say, it is intimidating. And I think that certain of the things that we are seeing on these marches, the chants from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. There is no doubt that that is a call for the destruction of the State of Israel. People glorifying in what Hamas did on the 7th of October. People who think nothing about tearing down posters of hostages. There are 240 hostages being held, of whom a number of those are under the age of 10. Now, I think that many of the people on these marches genuinely want peace, but they're standing side by side with extremists who care nothing about firing fireworks at the police or intimidating the Jewish community or threatening the destruction of the State of Israel. And I have to say that if you are an ordinary, peace-loving citizen, you should have nothing to do with those sorts of chants and those sorts of activities.
But of course, we have seen peaceful protesters at the weekend calling out the behaviour of these extremists. It sadly is the case that when you get, a group of tens of thousands of people, there are going to be those bad actors within the crowd, and calling them out is something that needs to be done. But then, you talk about the sit-in, for example, at Liverpool Street Station. I think people like myself struggle to get their heads around how that can be seen as intimidatory. I'm not challenging it. I just struggle to kind of understand why people would feel intimidated by a large group of people ultimately calling for a ceasefire or a stop, for Israel to stop bombing innocent children.
Forgive me interrupting you. I think there are 2 points there.
Yeah.
If they were just simply calling for a ceasefire or asking for peace, that would be fine. But of course, you have to remember one thing. If you're calling for a ceasefire, but you're not simultaneously calling for Hamas to release the 240 hostages,
sure,
or for the terrorist infrastructure, the military infrastructure of Hamas, which is underneath civilian infrastructure in Gaza, to be permanently dismantled, then what you're effectively and inadvertently doing is giving a green light to Hamas to continue to fulfill their murderous, savage attacks again and again and again. And of course, yes, they might want to peacefully protest for that. But then people standing up with a megaphone and everybody joining in singing "From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free," which again I emphasise is a call for the destruction of the state of Israel. That type of activity, if you are a genuine peace-loving person, you should have nothing to do with that. You should turn around and go home.
Do you think, Simon, this is about a lack of education? It bothers me. I keep hearing this David and Goliath thing thrown out. It's David and Goliath. And it's not that at all. It's a terrible analogy. This is a terrorist organisation against a democratically progressive first world country. That's the essence of it. But I sense on the streets, wherever it happens to be, even people who are peaceful, there is almost a misplaced view that what is happening here is it's just a group of people defending some land. The terrorist aspects of it, I don't think many people are seeing clearly. Otherwise, you wouldn't be standing there calling for this kind of stuff if you did, sure.
There's a real conflation going on with what is actually happening and what people believe.
Correct.
A lot of people believe that this is about the rights of Palestinian people. It really isn't. Hamas is a terrorist organisation who committed the most savage brutality on the 7th of October. And what Israel is doing is defending itself against that and trying to ensure that Hamas is never able to repeat that again. The fact that you have so many people in this country who appear to not just condemn, but almost celebrate and glorify that activity, and then use that to then say that they want to see the whole of Israel cleared of Jews and they want Palestinian rights to be advocated in that way. They're really making a mistake. What Hamas did on the 7th of October was nothing to do with Palestinian rights. It was a murderous attack against innocent Israelis. And anybody in this country who values peace or wants there to be a ceasefire should genuinely have nothing to do with those sorts of chants and those sorts of people, because although there are many peace-loving people who participate in these marches, unfortunately, there are many extremists who think nothing about calling for violence and holy war against Jewish people all around the world. And I'm afraid Jews have seen a lot of anti-Semitic violent incidents in different countries of Europe, and they're asking themselves, could that happen here? Why on earth should we be creating a situation in which a peace-loving small community should be in any way fearful about its place in this country?
Yeah, we've arrived at a very strange place where a contingent of people think a medieval death cult are the good guys. Strange times indeed. Simon, thank you for your time, sir. Good to see you. Simon Johnson